Oh, hello there. Fancy to see you guys here. Of course, I scheduled this, so it was to be expected. Yeah, I didn't. Friday's stream was a little weird because I wasn't able to do my normal time, and I was just like, I'm just gonna play some video games, hang out with y'all. And then I was like, I'll try to do one Saturday, and then I wasn't able to do one Saturday, so I'm like, it's Sunday. We're gonna do probably an hour long, and then I got other stuff to do. It's a busy weekend, y'all. There's stuff happening. There's some lawyer stuff happening. Can't go into the details. I can. I won't go into the details. So, oh, I'm it. Oh. Well, if I see you, I'm going to tag you back. Anyway, we're just going to do, I'm thinking an hour. We'll see what happens. But someone said that, hey, wouldn't it be fun if you did a Am I the Asshole stream, like from Reddit, like the subreddit. If I went through it and I gave my thoughts on it, I went, that sounds like a great time. I don't know if it's like a full stream topic, but you know what? For a nice, chillax Sunday stream, I feel like it's not a bad one. So, normal disclaimers. First 10 minutes, just going to be, time for people to get in here. I didn't really announce this one. I gave 5 minutes notice. So, people would probably slowly trickle in. It's not my normal time slot, and I didn't really say it was going to happen. So, it's just going to exist. It's sort of to draw attention to that, because legal fees are expensive. And as some of you know, an individual has decided to drag me into what I strongly consider to be a malicious and frivolous lawsuit, because they're upset I said what I believe to be factual things about them on the internet. And instead of being like, freedom of speech is a thing that exists, and I probably have supported at some point in the past, he appears to have gone, and this is my personal opinion, and maybe considered speculation. He went, nope, I'm going to punish people. I'm going to make people decide that they don't want to talk about me, because if they're talking about me and saying these accurate things, then that's bad. Instead of, changing his behavior to be not what he is being talked about. For example, becoming a fugitive from justice. That's something worth talking about, I think. But, I have my opinions. They have theirs. They've decided to sue me because they said, well, you said I could sue you. Well, no, I said instead of threatening to sue me, if you have a legitimate lawsuit against me, consider maybe just getting it over with. But you don't have a legitimate lawsuit, so it's an empty threat. And then they decided to fill that thread up with a bunch of nonsense and carry it out. So, lots are expensive. But you guys have been incredibly wonderful helping me out with this. The GoFundMe is going very well, much better than I thought it would. I just sort of went, here's a number. I have a tangible number now. Some people are asking, like, hey, can you do a GoFundMe? I went, I could. I don't have a tangible number of how much it's going to be. And then my retainer was $15,000. I went, that's a tangible number. I'll put it out there because a couple people said they would donate. And YouTube takes 30% of the donations. GoFundMe takes something like 2%. I don't remember the exact number. That might be completely wrong. It was a much more reasonable number for the purposes of that type of thing. Let me make sure this is on for you, Linda. Linda, thank you so much. It'll get to that. It'll do things. So. But that's neither here nor there. That just exists. You don't have to pay attention to it. If you do want to know more, the link is in the description, or it should be in the description. If it's not, somebody let me know. So, normal disclaimers. We're sort of into it already. First 10 minutes can be me. No, I already said that. Did I already say that? We'll say it again. First 10 minutes, me rambling while people gather in. After that, it's going to be more rambling, especially with a topic like this, where it's my opinion, as opposed to, like, these are things I've trained on. This is what I've done personally. I am experienced. I'm an expert and a professional. We learned this in 3 different academies. I was going through my paperwork recently. I say recently, yesterday. Some of my military stuff. And it turns out I've been through 2 different, what you could consider police academies. They're military police academies. There's OSUT, which is one station unit training. It's like AIT and MP training combined. And then when I got to Joint Base Lewis McChord, I had the P3 Alpha Academy, which is like the local state stuff. And then I have a bunch of other training. I'm just going through my paperwork. They're called I Loved Me books in the... nope, that's not what I want. In the Army. Hold on. My buttons. I was going through it, and I went, this is nice. Look at all this stuff I've accomplished. I'll make you go backwards for you, Mav. Ha! Thank you, Linda, so much. And Mav, he'll probably read yours. We'll get to that. But yeah, so there's going to be a lot of rambling. If you're like, man, I don't like this topic, feel free to skip forward or leave if you got it. If you're watching this after the fact, if you're watching it during the fact, you have fewer options, but you still have options. But I digress. Hi, everyone. How's it going? Matt, I assume it's going to start moving at some point. Says, am I the asshole? Why, yes. Yes, I am. This isn't new news. I like to not be the asshole, but I certainly can be. I'll say that. A lot of people, I think I'm an asshole when in reality they have created a situation where my actions are reasonable. They just don't like them.
AITA? Why, yes. Yes, I am.
AITA?
This isn't new news.
Why didn't that work? Well, we'll make it move anyway. Weird. And we'll give you one of these. All right, Iceblade, thank you so much for being a member, says, if Mav and I donate, there it is, 4 Loko money to the GoFundMe, can we get fun rewards like you drinking 4 Loko? Technically, no. Technically, no. I cannot, and I checked this, I can't do tiered rewards. I can't give people rewards for donating to the GoFundMe per GoFundMe's terms of service. However, here's how we could do it. I could just drink a 4 Loko, or equivalent, because I don't have any. I can't do one tonight. I got stuff to do in early morning tomorrow. It's 2:37. I don't like drinking this early. Bear with me for a second. We're thinking this one out. I want to reiterate this. I don't drink often. Which is probably why the 4 Loko has such an effect. I don't enjoy... It's a social thing for me, and I don't get out much. Here it is. I don't get out much. I don't drink much. I don't want to be drinking at 2:30 on a Sunday. But it is early enough that I could. To promote this, I will do it right now. I have an equivalent. I don't know what it is. I've never had it before. Because the gas station is out. I just bought a few and then put it in my fridge. And I didn't drink them because I don't drink that often. If you appreciate what I'm drinking and you feel it makes you want to donate, feel free. I cannot drink because you've donated to the GoFundMe. I'm going to go do that. We're going to have fun with this. And I'm probably going to be playing video games with Artie later. So, the good reason to... I don't know if it will be a stream. But, probably be good to not be fully functional for that. All right. Bear with me, folks. Bear with me. I'm coming right back. That was supposed to do a thing. All right. Continue to bear with me. There we go. That's not what I wanted. Surely there's... don't worry. We'll fix it. Probably never. I'm going to turn the train off, though. I know how y'all be. All right, folks. Called Beatbox. It's blue raspberry, and it's 11.1% alcohol by volume. I assume it's like a boxed, terrible, terrible wine. Yeah, I don't know. It can't be worse than 4 Loko. Again, 4 Loko sponsor me. Like, no, you talk so much smack about it. Yeah, you guys are terrible. But there are people who have been like, I want to try 4 Loko now. Because I saw him doing it. So, there you go. I'm just saying. I drink like a boot on his first Liberty. Hey, that's right, Hank. Thank you, Hank. But yes. Ice Blade, I think as much as Mystery Bucket Roulette. Oh! I don't have the bucket anymore. I found some of the old bottles. Thank you, Hank. Which we can save for a different date. Unless Ice Blade, I'll wait for you. Do we want the beatbox? Or do we want bottle roulette? I mean, I know what they are now, so it's, I mean, I suppose I could. Oh, wait. Oh, we're getting somewhere. I've never juggled these before, so I'm struggling a little bit. Oh, wow. I mean, if that doesn't earn a like, I wouldn't be surprised. Anyway. Did I see the generous donation by one of RD members for Archer? No, I heard that there was some T-Rex shenanigans, though, and I intend to one-up him with some of similar shenanigans. Yeah, Big Borg Little Bite knows what's up. I have not seen it yet. I don't know anything about it, other than there was a thing. All right, where is it? Hitchbot, thank you so much. Just make sure you ask him about the Allosaurus. That's right. And Jim Finch, thanks so much. Says, here's 6 more months of rambling and lawsuits. Happy Sunday. Stu Bacon will return to WNN one of these days. You've been warned. Excellent. All right. We are at 10 minutes, though. So, I suppose that the answer to that is yes. We're going to try this. If you appreciate me consuming this, and listen, for the donations, please do not donate if you are not financially capable of it, right? If like, oh, sure, I have this money, but like, this will create financial hardships. Please do not do it. Please do not. This is if you're like, you just have money you don't know what to do with. I'm looking at you, Mav. I don't know what you're doing, and Ice Blade as well. And a lot of the rest of you. I don't know why you do it. My mom still asks the question of like, why are people donating to you? Like, I don't know. I appreciate it immensely, but I as always, every single time, just about, I want to make sure you can. Don't feel like you have to. Don't feel like I'm going away if you don't. This is literally just it reduces the amount of stress I have, kind of a thing. Stops me from getting a loan potentially. I don't know if I would have to. I don't know what the difference is going to be. I just want to let you guys know that I really do appreciate everything you guys do. And if people donated exactly 0 more money to the GoFundMe, I've already been incredibly blessed, I suppose. Religious or non-religious, however you want to take that, to have people like you in my life. So I thank you. I want to make that clear. So, if you're in a position where you feel compelled and you want to, and this is what makes you want to do it, here we go. Oh, it even sounds terrible. Just like... mystery fluid. Let me turn the train back on. Yes, Verbo Boss, thank you so much. Janelle tried to get Artie to collaborate with me. Oh... We'll see. And Welsh News Network, thanks so much. I'll wait for that to read it. And then once that hits, we're going to go through it and Am I the Asshole? I will say that Reddit has decided they are not the a-hole on this one. And Hank's Corner, thank you so much. Let's get into the song.
Are you finally coming clean about the Gotami?
I am not Welsh, but thank you. Ooh.
Our Lord and Savior,
it's over there. Sorry. It doesn't exist. Usually it's over there. But I'm on this screen. Anyway. It's a very synthetic flavor. It's very watery. It's like, you know how like Gatorade has flavor, but it tastes very hydrating because it tastes like very watery, but with like a punch to it. But it's not like fully mixed in like grape juice would be. Does that make sense? Like grape juice is grape juice, but Gatorade is like water in an intense flavor. That hydrating. This is like that. where it's like there's a hint of wine, but it's blue raspberry wine. It feels, it's a, oh, that's a very weird one. It's better than Four Loko, I will tell you that. I'm not an enormous fan of it. I think whatever I had last time was better. That's just weird. I don't know. All right. Am I the asshole for refusing to DD anymore and leaving 3 drunk friends stranded? All right. Do I have... excuse me. Just my foot like usual. Do I have good music for this? Okay. I don't want that background. We're fine. I, female, have 3 friends from college. Maisie, Tom, and Neela. We're all mid-30s now. We usually get together once a month to have dinner, despite work and family obligations. Virtually, because, sorry, I misread it. Virtually during the global event. 6 months ago, I had to stand up to everyone about splitting the bill evenly because everyone else's orders... Now that one's on them. It's everyone else orders. Oh, no, that's on me. There's a rest of the context. Bear with me. All right. About splitting the bill evenly because everyone else orders and eats appetizers and desserts, and everyone else drinks copious amounts of alcohol every time we get together. All right, now first of all, alcohol, when you go out, it's very expensive. That's why I buy boxed blue raspberry wine. Anyway. I typically eat a main and drink water. I started checking menus in advance and only bringing enough cash to cover my bill plus tip. Tip? No, they tip, singular. All right. And would forget, quotation marks, my card at home, and eventually sternly told them that I was no longer willing to pay an additional $50 to $100 every time we went out to cover their appetizers, desserts, and drinking habits. All right. Yeah, 0 problems with that. 0 problems with that. That's fair. Listen, if you are making your friend pay extra, if you're... Let me... All right, this music's distracting me. If you're going out with your friends and you're all splitting the bill, and you're getting appetizers and desserts, if you're sharing those appetizers and desserts, yeah, splitting the bill makes sense. But then you got to factor in, like, what if you get an appetizer that people hate? What if it's a terrible appetizer? What if it's a dessert that nobody else wants? Well, then, if that happens once in a while, probably not a big deal. If you're doing it every time, yeah, that's not great. If you know that your friend is not ordering this food and it keeps happening, like, you're kind of the asshole. And maybe it makes sense just to not go out with them if they're going to become a problem. Maybe you have nights where you go out and you all split the bill, but you're not getting the appetizers or drinks. And sometimes you just hang out without that friend. Sometimes your friend group changes. But I don't think it's unreasonable. And we're not even at the important part yet. I don't think it's at all unreasonable. This train should be doing things. To say, hey, friends, I'm not going to split the bill. Yeah, 0. If you're not sharing the things that they're eating, that's completely reasonable.
All his blue bacon is blackmailing us all and forcing us all to give him all our money. We can't even afford our Scotch and lobster bills.
My mistake. All right. The train might be up again. Maybe not. I don't know. I'll make it do things just for y'all. Because it didn't do things. Whee! Oh. Sometimes you just got to threaten it a little bit. Okay. Perfectly fine. All right. Anyway. All right. Another little pause. Casey, thank you so much for that. And that's your first super chat. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you very, very much. Thea? I know we've had this talk. It might be Thea. I think it's Thea. I don't think it's Thea. And I told you it would happen again. Let me call you Tama. So I can't donate to the GoFundMe, but I can do this. I just want to say I appreciate your sense of humor and can't wait to see how you top Artie. Whoa, careful. Top Artie. Yes, with vigor. In Welsh News Network, thank you so much, says, all lies. Oh, can I do a Welsh accent? No. Blue Bacon is blackmailing all of us and forcing us all to give him all of our money. We can't even afford our Scotch and lobster bills. Listen, you're near water. You can fish for your own lobster, right? How hard can it be? Bah. Hitched by this great question. I don't have an answer to that. Going Dutch was the question. Where's the origin of that? Anyway, let's keep going. Well, they all decided because I wasn't drinking anything but water, I should be the DD, which I initially agreed to because I was just happy that they eventually stopped arguing with me about splitting the bill. Okay. But at the time, I told them firmly if any of them ever threw up in my car, that would be the end of it. Very reasonable. Vomit in a car is a problem. And if you're drinking so much, if you're going out and partying so hard, in your 30s too, like, I'm not saying you can't do that, but like, I don't want to say like, hey, don't have a good time. But me, that doesn't appeal to me. Now, but I think that's a very fair line. Very fair line. Yeah. Yeah. I have some stories of soldiers throwing up in Ubers and taxis and having to address that. Where drunk soldiers don't like being told that they have to pay $150 because they threw up in a taxi or Uber. Moving on. Last month, Tom nearly threw up in my car. The only reason he didn't is because I pulled over and pulled him out of the car and onto the pavement instead. I sent a group text the next morning saying that I was no longer going to DD, and everyone complained that Tom only almost threw up in my car. I again refused and told them that next month they either had to limit their drinking so they could drive, or they had to find their own ride. That's fair. Listen, Tom would have thrown up. Tom did throw up, but not in the car because of the driver's actions. That's fair. You can be like, listen, I know I said it was in the car, but it would have been in the car if I had not had to have taken action. And the fact that I had to take action, not acceptable. And it's your car. By all means, right? You get to make the rules
Mark
on this.
Jones became a member.
Now, Mark Jones, thank you so much. Oh, no, Mav. We'll get to that. Daniel Wynn. Thank you so
Maxine
much.
Kennedy became a member.
Hold on, I'm sorry, I just read ahead. Daniel, thanks so much, says, I hope GoFundMe doesn't treat you like a Canadian trucker. I remember hearing something about that. I don't know the details. Oh, boy. Mark Jones. Thank you for being a member. Says, just got here, but if the incident in question involves your wife, well, face it, facts do not matter. You are the A, accept it, and go on. Ah, yes. If you're married and the question is, am I the asshole and my wife's involved? You are. The wife is always right. So I am told. Blah. What else do I have? All right. Mechanics, thank you so much. So starting to keep up the good fight for free speech and against internet cowards. Hope you find a great law-talking guy. He seems to know what he's doing. He's way outside my price range. They did a reduced, like a heavily reduced thing, which does worry me because I've seen in the past. I bring this up every once in a while because I think it's important for people to take into account. I'm not saying that he's screwing me over, but I've seen attorneys do that where they're like, all right, I'll take this thing. It's not worth my time, so I'm going to devote less time to it. And it's not going to be a major case that really helps me, so I don't really care. I think this is a case that's...
All the blackmail Blue does to me, I can't put my kids through Harvard anymore. Tisk tisk. When will it stop, Blue? When? Oh, and in your woo for chat. Tisk tisk.
Ooh whoa for chat. This is Mav's song for when he does this. We'll let it ride out. Anyway, an attorney that's too cheap can be a problem because you might not be worth their time, or they might not be very good. My attorney so far seems to be pretty good. I'm not trying anything crazy with it. Thank you, Mav. Sorry about Harvard. Harvard's overrated anyway. God, color is wrong now. My camera will adjust. Or it won't. Mav, you broke it. Genuinely, what happened? Mav! It's just like weirdly blue, right? Well, we're gonna... I did write that music, yes. That might be worth fixing at some point. Bear with me. Or don't. I mean... Hank, no. No. Thank you, Hank. Oh, While I was distracted, wait. There it is. Okay. What color are you on?
Sir, have you been drinking tonight?
I'm trying to fix the lights.
While singing Kumbaya
Hank's
while
corner is
watering
a
a chia
jerk.
pet.
Okay. All right. Are you gonna... No, we're fine. All right. Lights are good enough. We'll work with it. All right, Hank. What do you just do? All right. Oh, first of all, Maxine. Thank you so much for being a member. Said throwing up in your son's car is bad. I didn't because I bought it. Good reason not to throw up. Are you saying it's not your son's car because you bought it and therefore it's your car, or you didn't throw up in it because you bought it and you're like, I can't? Either way, throwing up in a car, bad. Yes. And Mav, of course, thank you. Hank's Corner, thanks so much. Says, thanks for not showing the video of me running naked through the streets while singing Kumbaya while watering a chia pet. We haven't ruled that out yet. There's still time. All right, that should be fine. Let's keep reading this. All right, last weekend I reminded everyone I wasn't driving anyone home. No one limited their intake at all. Oh, I don't know. I went up and asked for my bill separately, paid, and walked out without saying goodbye. Tom's wife had to have her mother watch their 2 kids while she had to come down, cover their bills, and give Maisie and Neela rides home. And Tom and Maisie both threw up in her car. Excellent. I was getting... Okay, listen. Well, she son of a bitch. I'm going to have to fix these lights again. Yeah, if you're like, hey, I don't want people throwing up in my car, and then you're like, it wasn't my car, you threw up, it would have been my car, and that you don't think that's a problem. I'll let it... It'll get around, gosh. It'll distract me. I was getting hateful calls and texts all week telling me I had to pay to have Tom's wife's car cleaned, and why? No. And pay his mother-in-law for watching the kids. No, you... Listen. It is your responsibility to drink responsibly. Nobody else's. If you can't do that, you have a problem, seek help. This is not...
I know
Sir,
right
have
now
you been
Dan
drinking
Blueberry
tonight?
and his blackmailing ways and his threats of using the goat army for
Welsh
his evil
News
master
Network is a
plan.
jerk.
Yes, all of those things. Yeah. If you cannot control your drinking, you need to reach out and get help. This is not a joke. I know. It's on you. It is your responsibility. And the actions that occur because of your intoxication are very likely going to be your fault. Civilly, legally, morally, ethically. Don't take the chance. Moving on. Welsh, thank you so much. Says, I know, right? Mav, damn, Blue Bacon, his blackmailing ways and his threats of using his Go Army for his evil master plan. Listen, I never publicized those. We're going to have a talk, mister, about how you're getting access to that. I'm going to lock it all down. All right. Maisie and Neela have been calling me all kinds of names for abandoning them, but I snapped that they were all 3 sheets to the wind, even after being told last month I wasn't driving them anymore. Tom eventually called to yell at me that if I didn't split the bill and if I didn't DD, then what use was I? Yeah, I was going to get to this point, but they got to it first. You need different friends. They're no longer your friends. You are not their friend. You are a tool to them. You are something that is used. You either provide money or you provide a vehicle. If they're your friends, they should provide friendship. That's why you keep them around. You are not that for them. Get them out of your life. You do not need them. Moving on. I asked if that was how he treated his wife, Maisie or Neela, if they were only allowed to be around if they were useful. Oh, spicy. Because here I thought we were just all enjoying one another's company, since I certainly wasn't gaining anything useful from them spending hundreds of dollars funding their eating and drinking habits and then wasting my gas to drive their drunk arses home. Is this person British? There's a drinking culture that's a little different there. I was blocked. None of them will speak to me now, and I just need to know, am I the AH here? Edit, I used to drink heavily too. I had to quit for an unrelated medical reason. Fair enough. What do the comments say? It says, don't downvote assholes. Do upvote interesting posts. I like that rule. It's good. So you're not the asshole, but they stopped being your friends a long time ago. Time to wake up to reality. Yup. I'm an American, but I attended the company Christmas party at the UK branch in Bournemouth. Because I happened to be there, I'm one of the few people who remember the entire evening. They got hotel rooms for almost everyone, rented out half nightclub, and drinks were free with basically appetizers for food. It was chaos. Hella fun as a 23-year-old in a foreign country. My God, the English drink like they don't want to live. I've heard rumors. Now, corporate parties can get that way more than just England. And I've been to some corporate parties. And yeah, there are some people that got schwasty, but not like the majority of people. So, yeah. Lisa, what am I drinking? It's called Beatbox. It's blue raspberry. It's not great. It's not great. All right, let's move on to the next one. I'm going to say they're not the asshole. I'm going to lock that answer in. Definitely not the asshole. Got a little too close to my phone there. Why is that there? Anyway. All right. Oh, no. Am I the asshole for having my neighbor's car towed and causing her to lose her job? I'm immediately going to... Well, Reddit says not the a-hole. If you're parking in the wrong place, if you had someone towed because they're parking in the wrong place, that's on them. Especially if you're like repeatedly telling them not to park in a place. I'm going into it with that mentality. Let's get into it, though, for realsies. About a year ago, a new neighbor moved in next to me. Excuse me. She does not have a driveway, and I do, so she has to park her car in the street. Okay, yeah, sometimes you gotta do that. Occasionally, I would see her car parked in front of my driveway. Usually, I would just park on the street and not say anything. Or I would go and ask her to move her car. Like, here's your driveway, and... how do I want to angle this for the camera? Let's say this is your... This is weird. Let's say this is your driveway, and this is the main street, and then you're parking your car here, blocking your driveway. Yeah. I mean, that can just be towed even without you calling in. That would be wrong if that's what's happening. Or I would go and ask her to move her car. So there were multiple warnings. This went on for a few months, and she eventually got a parking ticket for parking in front of my driveway and stopped blocking my driveway entirely. As I said, sometimes you don't even need to get involved. Although, often, listen, they're like, wow, the police never do anything because, like, this is always a problem. Well, people might not be calling it in. And calling it in might not do much, but it's better than if the police have no ID or parking enforcement or traffic, whatever that's called, wherever you are. In May, my neighbor was parking her car in front of my driveway again. I asked her again to please not block my driveway. She said she would make no promises because she didn't know how to park on the street. That's not an excuse. Learn how to park on the street. Maybe you have to walk a little bit. Sorry. I told her that she needed to learn how to park better. Okay, there we go. Because she lived in a neighborhood where that was the only option for most people, and then it wasn't my problem that she didn't know how to parallel park. She got extremely angry, and hold on a second. I remember having to do that for my driver's test. I get it. Parallel parking can be difficult, but, like, it's not hard to practice. You just need to take the time. She got extremely angry, and all of the goodwill between us stopped after that argument. At the beginning of July, she started a new job where she had to work nights, and our schedules were now totally opposite of one another. I would come home, and her car would always be blocking my driveway. And when I went to leave for work in the morning, her car would always be blocking my driveway. That's a problem. Don't do that. I already know which side I'm choosing, unless something crazy happens. All right. Where was I? I was around here somewhere. All right. After about a week of not being able to access our driveway, I'm just checking where I am. I asked my husband, and he said it would be best to just let it be because working nights is stressful, and she's probably under a lot of stress starting a new job. Yeah, it can be stressful, but also, you know what's really stressful? Not being able to leave or enter your driveway because someone's committing a crime and or infraction. I didn't agree with this, which is fair, I wouldn't have either, but I kept my cool. About 2 weeks ago, I got home from a bad day of work, very angry, and decided to do something about it. I called the police and let them know that someone was blocking my driveway. They said they would send a tow truck to have the car moved. The tow truck driver began to pick up the car, and as this was happening, my neighbor ran out screaming and begging with the tow truck driver not to take it because she would lose her job. Actions have consequences, lady. I felt no regret. She was doing something illegal and had already gotten a ticket for this once. I'm all about that. Listen, if you're told you're wrong and you keep doing the thing, then the punishment needs to increase or something needs to change. Maybe not the punishment, but the way it's addressed needs to change. Towing a car, change the way it's addressed. Because obviously the first thing, the first punishment wasn't effective. You got to switch to something else. Like in the military, one of your soldiers messes up, you make them knock out a few push-ups just so that their brain can register that as a bad thing with a consequence. Not that push-ups are a consequence. You need to do push-ups. They're good for you. But then if that doesn't work, you can do it like an RBI. You make them write like an essay, basically. Not enough NCOs do this. It's a great tool. There are a lot of soldiers out there like, I can do push-ups for days. You're like, but can you write 500 words? And they go, oh, no. And they get scared. Or you can counsel them. And then once you establish a pattern of behavior, if it does not stop, you can go for some sort of non-judicial punishment, like on Article 15. So if the punishment doesn't work, change the punishment to something that is effective and appropriate. Tom, thank you so much, and thank you so much. What just happened? Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. You didn't have to do it. I know you said it. But you didn't have to. I really appreciate it. Thank you. We're going to get back into this. Where was I? Okay, yeah, she already got a ticket for this once before. She had her warning. The tow truck driver just told her it would be $800 to pick up the car from the city lot. Oh, that's a lot. That's a lot from the lot. The whole time she was saying some pretty mean things to me, calling me names, calling my husband names, and threatening us. I've not seen the car on the street ever since. Yeah, well, you were warned so many times, it seems. A few days ago, I saw her outside and she began screaming at me, telling me that she lost her job. I said that I was sorry for what happened, but that it was her fault for blocking my driveway. My husband and I talked about it, and he said that while he was on my side, he felt I was an asshole for getting her car towed and making her lose her job, and that we should at least pay her the $800 to get her car back. Why? This woman created the problem herself. Now, maybe if you're like, oh, we need this relationship with this neighbor. Maybe. But why would it? Doesn't sound like you do. Now, you could say, well, it's your neighborhood. You might have to live there with each other on the same street for a while, and you don't want that animosity to build or fester or maintain at a certain level. And if you think buying off your neighbor is the way to fix that, maybe it is. Maybe it isn't. What I would recommend in this situation, if I were this person, if you were this person, is start documenting every contact you have with them. Get some cameras facing the street. I have a bunch. They're great. I love having cameras. They've become so affordable. If you can afford to pay this woman off $800, you can buy a halfway decent set of cameras just to document any interactions you might have. Because what if she escalates it? What if you escalate? What if something happens? You want to document it. And perhaps, as someone who's done this, get a no contact order, protection order, if she's really starting to go crazy. See what you can do. But even if you're not going to do that, if you never end up doing that, that's fine. You want to be prepared. You want to give yourself options so that when you are ready to take one of those options, to engage in an activity, you have the ability to do so. That would be my thought. Now, also, husband, come on. I mean, maybe the husband doesn't want the drama. I understand that, but come on. I'm not sure if they added on extra fees for storing the car for this long. They probably would have. And I don't think we should pay her anything because I had already tried being nice once before and it didn't work out. Am I the asshole? I'm going to say no. But there's an edit. Thanks for all the concern about my husband. I can totally understand where everyone's coming from, but he is absolutely not having an affair with my neighbor. Woo! That came out of a field. A left field? Right field? I don't know. A field. It came out of it. We work in the same office and usually carpool together, so I think I know what he's up to most of the time. He's either at work or at home building his model boats. Yeah, it's a great hobby. Or playing a computer game about those model boats. I can't argue with that. Neither of us like her very... Well, War Thunder, do you think? I bet it's War Thunder. Neither of us like her very much. He's just really opposed to conflict, especially when it involves someone he loves. And sometimes he just can't make up his mind about who's right and who's wrong in certain situations. He has Asperger's, so I understand his sympathy. Okay, yeah, it would be a social thing then, of just like, I don't want the conflict. If we ignore it and it goes away. I can respect that. I don't agree with it, but his brain is in a different place than mine, and maybe it makes complete sense. So, okay. I'll allow it. From deep left field. That's right. So I'm going to lock it in. The poster is not the asshole. We're sustaining that bad boy. On to the next one. We got a few more of these. Oh, it's a short one. Hooray. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to scooch this around so that it's framed nicely, because I want to. Am I the asshole for not letting my nephew live with us in college? First of all, it's your house, right? Yeah, no, it's a nephew. Already. Already. Anyway, my wife and I have 2 twin boys who are going to college next month. Oof! I'm so sorry about your wallet, I presume. We are very excited for them, and also excited for us to be empty nesters. Relatable, yes. I love my boys, but I've been looking forward to living with just my wife and I for a long time. I bet. My wife's sister has a son, Josh, who will be going to a college in the same city we live in. He was supposed to have an athletic scholarship that would pay for most of his tuition and room and board, but it fell through due to an injury that will mean he won't play anymore. He's wanted to go to that school for non-sports reasons for a while, so he will still go there. My wife's sister recently asked us if Josh could stay with us during school or freshman year, since we'll have 2 empty bedrooms and dorms are expensive. My wife said she'd begrudgingly allow it if I was on board, but admitted it's not really what she wants, and agreed we both need to be on board for it to happen. I declined. I feel bad for Josh, but I want my privacy and don't want to live with an 18 to 19-year-old college kid. If one of my kids stayed home an extra year, then it'd be a little disappointing. But I'd allow it, but I don't want my nephew here. Oh, wait, no. It is longer than I initially thought. Oh, no, it's not that long. Right. It caused a bit of conflict with my sister-in-law calling me a selfish asshole and saying I'm not acting like family. I suggest they just take out more loans to pay for it if they don't have the cash in hand, which I think they could make work if they tried, or if sister-in-law went back to work. Am I the asshole? Oh. So first of all, no, it's your house. It's your house. If it was your kid, like, yeah, I'd be like, yeah, maybe you're an asshole for not supporting your kid. But also, they're an adult now, so... I'm not saying you couldn't do it. I'm saying there would be a tinge of assholeness, but I would understand it. But your nephew, like, that's a big ask from the sister. That's a big ask. And especially, like, let's say the sister isn't working, right? Which seems to be the case here. And they weren't working because they had to raise a kid. Well, now they don't have that kid to do... Well... Let's assume the nephew's an only child. I don't think it said anything about other children. There might be other children. But let's say it's an only child. Or they have children that don't need, like, constant supervision. Yeah, maybe do get another job. If you need your child taken care of, I argue that it is you who should be taking care of that child, not your sister and brother-in-law. If you need them, if you need them to have a room there, to be able to go there, if it is that important that you're like, hey, can I have I don't even know if it's a free room. I assume it's a free room if they can't afford room and board. If you're asking for a free room for your sister, that's a big ask. So I would argue that the better move is, with all your free time, get a job to pay for it if you care about your child that much, that you're trying to get your sister and brother-in-law to give up their property, their privacy, and their free time for your spawn. I'm sure I'm sure Josh is lovely. I'm sure everyone in this thing is lovely. But the idea, to feel like you are owed a room in someone else's house is a lot. Now, if I needed a room and I had a friend and I was like, "Hey, man, can you let me crash?" I would hope they could say yes to like a couple months, if even that, till I could get on my feet. But this is 4 years, I presume, of college. Sure, maybe not this summer, but that's when their kids are coming back. So, like, you know? Here's a solution. You get an old RV. In the city. If you have, like, a backyard, you get an old RV, you park in the backyard, you have the kid live in that. And that way, like, you still have your privacy. They still have a place. And a place to park the RV. There are laws that probably would make that not legal. You're not legally supposed to be able to live in an RV full time, because I believe the idea with that is there are materials that are used to make an RV that are technically toxic to humans. Just that if you're using them recreationally, you don't experience those materials enough to actually cause harm to the body. If you're living in it for a full time kind of situation, your body cannot address those toxins and filter them out fast enough, and so they build up and they get sick. And that's my understanding of why a lot of places do not let you live in an RV full time. So you would have to address that. There may be laws about renting or putting an RV in your backyard. I know in some places you can get away with it by, I know Mike Raposo, 14th Amendment, one stop 14th Amendment shop, something. It's a long name. He was evicted. He had his RV in someone's backyard, I believe, and then the RV was towed, and he was confused. He's like, "How can you evict me from my own RV?" He was like, "No, you were renting a home, I believe, or a room, I believe, in the house. Technically, there's a term for it. I'm sure is a thing that people do. Let me get closer while I try to figure out how to explain this. Basically, you're not allowed to live in an RV, but sometimes people rent out their backyard. People living in RVs." But technically, to get around certain laws, the loopholes that exist in some places in the United States is you rent out a room in the house, which you sort of have an unspoken or maybe spoken but not like official agreement that the person's never actually going to use that. It's just for legalities. You're renting out a room, but they're living in their RV. But if you have an argument and you're like, "Hey, you can't park your RV in my backyard anymore," depending on the conditions of the rent, yeah, you could tow that RV and then you would have to evict the person from the room. So Mike Raposo was like, "Well, why would I care about the eviction process? Because that RV was my home. I wasn't actually living in that room." Yeah, that's the issue. That's the concern with trying to get around the law like that. And a lot of people do this. It's not just like, we know how we feel about Mike Raposo, but this is not an uncommon thing. So it can get very complicated. I'm not saying this is the best idea legally. However, if you're trying to help someone, it may be worth looking into if you are the person that wrote this. However, I don't think you're the asshole. If they need their child to do that, to go to that school, they have options, and it's not going to be as easy. But like a free house is very easy. You shouldn't expect that, right? At least like not for 4 years. I'm not saying people shouldn't have access to shelter for a certain period of time, but it should be with the intent of getting them to a better location, right? Anyway, I'm going to say they're not the asshole. I'm going to lock that in. How do you guys think about it? What do you think about that? It explains what happened to Riggs living the RV out to the beach. What? Huh? Oh, Hitchbot. Yeah, he's gotten it towed a few times. Or a couple times, a few times. I don't know. It's been interesting to keep track of. Yeah, so I'm going to say, not the asshole. Next! Oh, another... Wait. No, this is the same one. Do we only have one left? Yes. Okay. It's a hotel one. And I don't know why I think this is going to be a fun one. Hotels. All right. Where was I? I, 27 female. Oh, also Reddit has decided they're not the asshole. Let me read the title for you first. Am I the asshole for telling my brother that I'm staying at a hotel because his kids are allowed? Oh, it doesn't happen in the hotel. All right, fine. I, 27 female, came back home to my parents' house after about 3 years. My 2 older brothers and their families were also invited for a few days as a way for the entire family to catch up. I was beyond excited to see everyone. My oldest brother, Malcolm, 35, has 2 4- and 6-year-old sons. Oh, already. I feel for you. We would all be staying in our old rooms as arranged by my mom. The house is spacious. That is good to hear. And I thought there would be no problems. There was. My nephews are loud. Very loud. Yes, problem. I usually work a very demanding job, but I'm sleep deprived 90% of the time anyway. I really didn't want to go on with this sleep deprivation, and I booked a hotel nearby. Malcolm found out, and he kept telling me I was ruining the trip and family dynamics, that we were all supposed to be together now. No, what? No, listen. Yeah, it's great to be like, hey, we'll hang out as a family. You don't have to live as a family. You don't, like, oh, yes, when I was 17, I lived with my 15 siblings, so now we have to spend a weekend living that way. You don't have to do that. Not do, like, everyone else has their own personal life now. And meeting as a family, I think it's important. I think it's important to have family ties. That goes both directions. Not just like, hey, you should hang out with your parents, but the parents, like, you should reach out to your children, and everyone should try to be good people towards each other. And I understand, like, oh, well, you know, if you go, my parents suck. All right, fine. Or my children, oh my God, something happened, who knows? They found, I don't know. I understand that. I'm just saying, in a perfect world, wouldn't it be nice if everyone tried to get along and had a happy family? Obviously, that's not what's happening. Obviously, I know. But to be like, no, we have to hang out together. No, no, we don't. No, what we can do is we can spend time together, but let me sleep. Oh, I love sleep. Sleeping is important. I don't get enough of it. So I can relate to this. I don't know if I clarified how I feel about this yet. Moving on. I told him everyone would be more comfortable this way. He kept asking me for a reason. Because your kids are annoying. Come on. And ultimately I said it was because I wanted my own space to comfortably sleep in, and that was hard to do with kids running around. Malcolm got really upset and called me a horrible aunt and a terrible person. Buddy, what are you talking about? I told him I'd let our mom know, and she was okay. He went on to call me the golden child who wouldn't tolerate the smallest inconvenience for family, and said I was selfish. Here's the thing, though. Like, why is this an inconvenience you have to tolerate? Why can't you just, like, sometimes things are sometimes an inconvenience. And sometimes you can avoid the inconvenience. Why wouldn't you? If that's not going to, like, cause problems for everyone else. I'm like, oh, man, like, oh, if I'm going to go to the barbecue and flip burgers, but, oh, there's broken glass on the ground. I don't have shoes on. I'm not going to flip those burgers for everybody. I'll let someone who has shoes on go do it. Oh, no. One inconvenience I've decided not to tolerate. Broken glass in my foot. This is maybe not the same. Just as an example. But if you're like, no, you have to be around my children. Why? Are you trying to, like, make the aunt do the work and take care of them so you can get your sleep? I bet you want that sleep too. Sorry you have 2 obnoxious kids. I don't know what's happening here. All right, my other brother, Paul, 30, I sided with him, but our parents agree with me and say as long as I show up for the main events, it doesn't matter where I sleep. Yeah. I asked a few friends, they're all torn, so I thought I'd ask here. Was I the asshole? And a colorectal surgeon, okay, says, not the asshole, your parents have their heads screwed on correctly. Who wants to try and sleep and enjoy a trip with a bunch of obnoxiously loud brats cavorting about? You've done the right thing for your own peace and sanity at the anticipated cost of, or unanticipated cost of booking a hotel. Yeah, see, you're not asking them to make changes. You're not being like, hey, you and your kids need to go to a hotel. You are taking yourself to a hotel and be like, hey, I'll fix this problem on my end. Hey, don't worry about it. Now, if you were out on like a camping trip, you're like, oof, no, I got to bring an ATV, so cause I can't sleep in a tent. I got to go, drive back to the car and sleep there. Yeah, a bit different story, but this is not that, I presume. Your brother's an idiot. It's what else do people say? Asshole enthusiast. Yeah, they're saying when you're used to your kids being loud, you're used to your kids being loud, and so it doesn't bother you, and it might not make sense. Similarly, I have a lot of helicopters that fly over my house. I've dealt with helicopter noise. I've been at helicopter bases since 2014. I don't even notice helicopters anymore. Like, they'll be halfway over me. I'm like, oh, wait. I'm so used to it. But people coming in who have never dealt with helicopters before, they're going to be like, wow, this is nuts. I don't even notice. So that's not a bad way to address it. Like, you're used to it. I'm not. I like sleep. Have a nice day. Let's see, what else do we... Well, we got time for, like, maybe one more? If I can find one of my own. Those were found for me. Oh, I'll lock that in. Not the asshole. Yeah, there we go. I want to find one where they... This sounds interesting. Oh, it's a long one. We're going to do it. Oh, am I the asshole for telling my mom that if she touches the food on mine or my family's plates again, she'll never see us again? Oh. Whoa. How's it going, Papa Sanser? It's good to have you here. After 11 years of no contact. Oh. Well, this got less... Okay. I, 25 female, my mother, 49 female. All right. It's 2023. What is my brain at? Still in 2014. It's 2023. Maybe, I'm not going to get into it. Recently began talking again. I got pregnant at 14 with my daughter, and my mom disowned me, but we recently got in contact. While I know getting pregnant so young wasn't the best idea, it was definitely the best decision as my mom was an absolute monster growing up, and it led to her getting out of my life as soon as possible without me feeling guilty. An extreme way to do it, but if you're happy with your kid, I bet there were some hardships, but you made it to 25. All right. The name she hurled, having a parent who is adamant they are always right and just making my life that little bit more miserable. Also, as soon as I started getting older, she became health obsessed and would out much smaller amounts of food on my plate, so I didn't end up being fatter. And snacks were removed from the house, and leftovers were very much given to our pet dog, who would literally get more food than me and my brother combined. I think they meant put. Okay, so parent was like eating disorder by proxy. I'm sure there's a term for that. I actually think there is a term for that. Is it just Munchausen by proxy? I don't know if that technically counts. All right. We started speaking again as I believe she'd changed, and so me, my husband Brad, our daughters, and son went over for Sunday lunch, and everything was fine. The roast dinner was like it was when I was a young child, and I truly believed she'd left her time as a unhealthy eating habits behind. That one's on them, not me, but I think I get what they're saying. About halfway through the meal, she stopped us, started taking our plates away, and when my husband asked why, she said, quote, "I purposely gave you more food than usual for leftovers, dog. Anna knows I wouldn't feed her or the kitties this much in case they became little fatties." I thought this would be more difficult, but all right. But I probably should have gave little Delilah a little less as she's getting on the tubby side. End quote. My child is a perfectly healthy weight. As she says all this, I feel like the 12-year-old little girl who's crying because her mom's digging at her weight, being made to feel crappy about herself because the woman who's supposed to love me is micromanaging everything I eat and calling me vicious names. And I'd never allow her to make any of my children feel like that, so I pulled up in a rage before shouting, quote, don't you even dare take any food off of their plates. Sorry. Don't you even dare take any food off of their plates to give to that dog. If you even try to put any mental harm on my kids, I'll make fucking sure you never see us again. Anyway. There's kind of a silence between the pair of us before an argument ensues, where she claims she's, quote, only got my best interest at heart, end quote, and that, quote, Brad won't love me anymore if I continue being a fatty, end quote, and that I should have lost the baby fat and I wouldn't have happened, and it wouldn't have happened if I'd stayed in contact with her. She called me an asshole and a silly whale. Wow. Before I left with my family, and other family members are saying that while I was right not to let her do that to my kids, I was an asshole for threatening to take her grandchildren away from her when she's only just got them back. And now I'm just confused and starting to consider that I may be one for emotional blackmail. A person says, not the asshole at all. Your mother is a terribly abusive woman and never deserved to have you back. I agree with that. Yeah, you left your mother for a reason, which is she was mentally abusive. She has not changed. Those children are yours, not hers. And if she wanted grandchildren, she should have been a better mother. Now, she has that ultimatum. You may feel it's appropriate to give this one more shot. And give it a try. If you want. You don't have to. But if you want to, give it a real try. And if she does anything, if she does the thing that you said would have consequences, or if she alludes to it, stand firm, never see her again. She knew. And if the other family members are saying, oh, you're threatening to take her grandchildren away. No, her grandchildren were already gone. She made sure of that when the daughter was 14. You don't get to undo that just because grandchildren are now in the picture. When there are other people that you want in your life that haven't turned against you. You don't get to say, wait, bring them back. I haven't made them hate me yet. How dare you do that for me? You don't get to play that game. So if you really want to make an attempt, and if the family members are saying this thing and you worry about, being able to spend more time with them, maybe give it a second go. Before you go, remind your mother that this is what's on the table. And if she takes anything off the table, you see what I did there? Yeah. Then that's it. And she'll never see any of you again. And so if she really cares, if she really wants you in her life, she has to make that sacrifice where she can't be insulting. And she can't be passive-aggressive about it. Like, oh, I want to say something. I see you're enjoying my food. I want to say something, but I'm not allowed to. No, that's not going to fly either. Because that just says that she wants to do it. She has to not want to do it. She has to realize that it's wrong. She has to want not to do it. Not just she wants to do it, but knows not to. That's not the same. She has to want not to do it. If she doesn't want not to do it, she hasn't changed. She's not worth your time. Get out of there. Don't go back. But maybe try one more shot just for the sake of family. Don't go one-on-one. I say have other people there. It's always good to have witnesses. Not that anything's going to happen, but like physically, I'm just saying, so it's not her word against yours. If she's like, wow, they were so mean. I would say, not an asshole. Your mother needs help. We're locking that in. Yeah. And I was just saying, like, if you have a good relationship with your parents, this is not a good relationship with the parents, with a parent. And you say a lot of things. I would say that the mother is wrong for raising her child in that kind of environment. And sure, sometimes you want what's best for your child, but they're 14. They're 14. They're still learning. They're still learning into their 20s. Past that, I'm still learning every day. So, no. You don't get to be that kind of parent and not expect to lose that relationship when it can be lost. Ask me how I really feel. Anyway, I feel like that ends it there. I enjoyed this a lot. I like him. I think we should do Am I the Asshole streams more often. I hope you guys, I don't know if you guys liked it. Let me know in the chat. Did you like that? You have a good time? There's a bit of a delay, so don't worry, I'm like halfway through this. I've been sipping on it slowly. It's not good. Shay says, my step-grandmother would pour vinegar on our foods when she decided we ate enough. Folks wouldn't say a word. More of my French fries? Let's go. Yeah, that's nuts. Serve less food. Plate less food. Don't, if you give someone an amount, that's one thing. If you give them an amount and then take something away, like psychologically, that's an entirely different thing. Just don't give them as much. Because if you give someone something, you've given them something. If you give them too much and take something away, regardless of what you give them, you've still taken something from them. In their mind, I presume. Just give them less initially. Or let them have the extra and then try not to give them as much next time. If even that. Lisa says more of these. Timo says more of these. D-Man says, oh yes, it was fun. Mav says, meth in my food, expect to be muzzle thumb. Pah! That's right. Just get back. Bah! Yes. We didn't have any thinkers. I thought this was going to be a thinker. I was like, oh, I think this person might be an asshole, potentially. And then, nope. Nope. We'll see if we can find some that are really controversial next time. Linked 2 more. Do we want? Okay, we could do 1 more. Let me see what Artie is up to, because we had a date. Bum, 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 bum. All right. But is it a controversial one? Bear with me. Oh, all right, another food one. Yes. Am I the asshole for taking my fiance's dinner after he touched mine? I'll be quick. My female 26 fiance, M32 is blind. What? Oh, so the writer is female 26. The fiance is male 32. The male is blind. We don't disagree a lot, except he always gets bothered whenever I eat different food from what he's eating when we go out. Like, if we're having dinner out and I order else, he instantly gets upset and accuses me of treating him as less than when I just have different tastes in foods. I just eat what he eats to keep the peace. I eat out alone as alternative. But since he clearly doesn't trust me, he randomly touched my plate to see if I'm having the same dish. This caused huge arguments between us, and I told him to stop doing it, and he said he would. Now, do keep in mind that blind does not mean total loss of vision. It can be a lot of things. It could be you can only see like the tiny little pinholes in the center, or you don't see well at night, or a variety of other things. This sounds like pretty blind. Like if you're just like, what did you get? If you're putting your fingers in somebody else's food, I get, like, as a blind person, that's how you interact with the world. But as a blind person, I would hope that you have some understanding that, like, this is a thing. And if you can't trust your partner, and that lack of trust is based on the fact that they've decided to order food, well, that seems odd, right? If you're like, you're trying to screw me over by ordering for me wrong. What? Like, I mean, I feel like an alternative would be you have a place you like to go. You have a few restaurants you like to go to. You know the menu. You try out a few things. You order a bunch of different meals, and then you're like, hey, which one do you like? All right, is that what you're going to get? Because I'm going to get this other one because I personally like it better. Right? Like, we have differences. I like different tastes than you. I see better than you. Like, there are differences between us physically. Stuff like that. So, I mean, if you're eating at a different restaurant all the time, and then, like, you don't know what the food is because you never had it before because it's a different restaurant, I can get the mentality. I don't agree with it, but it'd be like, what are you eating? What? And maybe I'm exaggerating a little bit. We'll keep going. We went out to eat nights ago, and I ordered the same dish he ordered. When the food arrived, he looked somewhat uncomfortable. I asked what was wrong, and he refused to say, and before I could even grab the fork, he extended his arm and his hand touched the food on my plate. He moved quickly and started excusing what he did, saying that he just wanted to make sure. Nope. Trust is so important in a relationship. And if this is the thing, right? Like, if you're upset because you can't trust your fiance because they're ordering different food than you, and I'm not blind. I don't know what it must be like in this guy's head. But what? Lisa says, don't they have a Braille menu? It's possible this person's recently blind. and doesn't know how to read Braille, or they might not have a Braille menu. Not every restaurant will. But yeah, like that feels like it's a symptom of something much bigger that you maybe haven't encountered yet. Let's see. And then like the fact that you'd be like, ooh, surreptitiously like, mashed potatoes. I'm so sorry. I just wanted to check. Like, no. No. This is a conversation that needs to be had. Like, you guys need to talk, and not just agree, but talk, and get to the root of this, because it's more than just food. I think there's something deeper than food. There's a lack of trust based on something else that is not just food, or it's stress related to the blindness. Again, like this person might not have been born blind. I don't know. So it could be just an accumulation of stress from having gone blind. Let me just fix myself. Also, Shay says he heard her order her food. I mean, you could be worried they're passing notes, being like, hey, get me a different one. I know I said this, get me a different one. But why are you worried about that? What's this? This feels like a deeper thing. We're going to keep reading. But I lost it on him. I felt so grossed out, and there was no way I would eat the food after he touched it. He tried to get me to drop it, saying I shouldn't be grossed out by his hand, and then I overacted. It's not, okay, yeah, like, your fiancé, whatever. You probably touched all sorts of weird things of each other's. But, like, it's a respect thing. And, like, if I've watched you wash your hands and touch the, fine. And I don't care how close I am to you. If I don't know where your hand's been, like maybe you were climbing up some sewer grates. I don't know. Or some ladders. No. No. Mm-mm. Not that I couldn't eat food that people touched. It's just like, I'm not going to ask you to do that for me. Like, hey, would you mind putting your hands in my mashed potatoes real quick for me? Thank you. That's not how I operate. All right. I grabbed his plate and told him I was taking it as my donner. I think that means dinner. He at first asked Meadow, I think that means me, to be rational and give the plate back, but I refused. An argument ensued and we had a fight. He then ended up leaving, started spam texting me, accusing me of being bitter, pathetic, and childish, and robbing his dinner. He went to stay with his friend who picked him up, and his friend sided with him, saying I was in the wrong. Even went as far as to say that I was abusing my fiancé and financially controlling him when I pointed out that I was the one who paid for the food. Okay, you can make an argument that you're like, oh, you're trying to get me to get the less expensive food because you're in control. But like, here's the thing: if I had a partner who was ordering for me and got to decide how I ate, if I'm not contributing financially, I would argue that my say in that is a lot less. Because it's not my food. And sure, like they're not even, when they're married, if they get married, which everything your partner has is you have access to, right? Like shared bank accounts, for example, is a pretty common thing. Different states treat it differently, but it's pretty common that everything you own, they now own, more or less. Divorce, it becomes much more complicated. But in a general sense, at that point, yes, you could argue that they're also your finances. But if you're not contributing to those finances, I don't know if they are. I don't agree with that statement. If I was the one making all the money in the relationship, and then my partner forced me to eat food that was less expensive so that they could get more expensive stuff, yeah, I would have a problem with that because there's an imbalance in this relationship. There's a lack of trust in that sense of, maybe not trust, but there are discrepancies. You know, you need to be partners. It needs to be a partnership. And maybe someone has more here, but you got to even it out. You want a good relationship, you got to even it out. And this feels like someone is either uneven or someone is suspicious that it's uneven, and this needs to be addressed. My problem is magnified now with him wanting an apology and me refusing to give him one. My parents think I should have more patience and this is just typical love spats between us, but I'm not sure. Was I the asshole with how I handled this? Edit, I want to point out that this is not the case when we eat at home, but he has no issue with me eating different food, but in public it's a different story. All right, there's a comment. It says, not the asshole. List of red flags. Him insisting to eat the same food as him. Him feeling he has the right to check to make sure. Him putting his hand on your food. Him continuing to touch your food after saying he would stop. There is something going on there, and you shouldn't ignore it. Yeah. I want to know what the friend thinks. Like, if your friend is, if his friend's siding with him, that might be a conversation to have with a friend, just to hear why. Like, what is your fiance telling the friend that's getting them to side with your fiance? Is it just like, I don't really know you that well, and so I'm just going to choose my bro? Or is the fiance saying something that is either true and you have left it out, or ignoring it, or choosing to not address it? Or is the fiance lying? Like, that's a point that maybe needs to be pursued. I like this a lot. This sort of talking about these things. Someone brought up he could have heard, or like, why didn't he just listen? Someone else brought up the note passing. Yeah. Colorectal surgeon. I see, because am I the asshole? I get it. Okay. Info. Why on earth does he insist that you must order the same dish he orders at restaurants? And why on earth are you actually following this rule? Person says, I'm certain there's a story here. Yeah, that's fair. Like, there's something bigger going on. Either the original poster, the OP, is not telling the full story, or there's a deeper problem. I'm gonna say not the asshole. I'm saying you need to get this fixed. Get marriage counselor. Something. Locking that in there. What's different food, home or restaurant? I maybe it's just a cost thing, right? I think it might be a financial thing. If it's like, oh, he doesn't do it at home, but he does it at restaurants. It could be food's so much more expensive at a restaurant. And so maybe he thinks he's being not given as much, because he won't know. Like, oh, are the serving sizes smaller? Or like, if you're like, hey, I know you order this, just give him a smaller amount. And maybe it's not the content, or not the content, what is ordered. Maybe it's, are you getting more than me? And I just won't know because I'm blind, right? Are you treating me poorly because I'm blind? Like, are you using my disability against me? Are you using it for your benefit? Are you using it to hurt me? Or maybe they're more nervous in public because their disability is more visible, and they act out because they're concerned that maybe the partner isn't the problem, maybe the servers, maybe the wait staff, the cook, the chef, maybe they're against them, because the blind person's not going to know if their stuff's being plated correctly or if it's the right serving sizes. And so maybe it's not a distrust of the partner, but it's a distrust of the establishment. But to distrust every establishment, it's bigger. It's a bigger thing. So maybe there's like a dormant thing that happened to them when they were a different age, a different time, that has created this. But this is a therapist type of thing. I feel like a therapist will be able to address this. I'm not saying this is a relationship ending. I think this is therapist beginning. I think that's what needs to be addressed. That bacon is not food or price. You saying one thing and pointing to something else in the menu? Well, that's so, because you can be like, but again, because you could slip a note and be like, hey, the note says, like, he's allergic to this. You don't give it to him. Give him this. Right? Just, like, don't say anything. He's embarrassed about it. Or it could be they think that they're being given smaller portions. And Timo says, that is almost paranoia. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. And with Omega Gamer saying this seems more like control issues, I wouldn't be shocked if that's what it was, because when you're blind, you lack the control that other people might have. Like, you might actually have more control in other places, but you have a limitation in certain areas that people with sight don't. Now, that doesn't mean it doesn't even out in some other way, but in this case, there is a difference. And so it might be just, I don't feel that I have control because I'm blind. And I think this is something that you do see with people who are not born blind, more often than people who were. Because they know what they've lost more. I don't know if that's accurate. I would have to actually look into that. I would suspect that to be true. I'm pulling that right out of my asshole, of which I am. I am the asshole. But, yeah, maybe it's just to cover a food fetish. Great reason to have another conversation about that. Look, if you're both into food, by all means, like, keep it off my plate. But All right. So it's at the wedding reception, everyone's getting the chicken. No substitutes. The groom will be checking. And I do worry that this isn't the only thing that's actually going on, and maybe the fiance just doesn't realize it. There may be other control things. That would be, if I were talking to this person, this is a friend of mine, I would definitely be like, what else is he doing? Is this the only thing? Or is what, like, anything you think might be? Even if you're like, nah, it's not, let me know. Because if there are more things, then it's not just food. This is a much bigger thing. But if it is just food, I feel like maybe it could be more easily explained. It doesn't mean it's right. Yeah. Hitchbot says, I've known exactly one person who was born with vision and lost it. He was pretty damn upbeat about the whole thing. I mean, there you go. Fair enough. It's just a theory I have that a person is more likely to feel they've lost control if they lost their sight after having vision. And whenever I hear, like, blind person, I've been corrected enough by people who are actually, like, low vision, bordering on blind or actually blind, that, like, still have vision. And that, I'd say, like, I've been corrected enough, like, 3 times. Like, oh yeah, no, this is definitely a thing. Maybe like 2.5. So, it's you know, it's a thing. It's a thing. Oh, the little heart thing blocking messages. I don't know what that's about. That's a new thing YouTube did, I think. Michelle says, I don't know. I think he needs therapy first. He's not ready for marriage. I would agree with that. I think therapy is incredibly important. Marriage is a big step. Make sure you're going into it appropriately. Get your prenups. If you really trust each other, prenups shouldn't be a problem, right? Right? I don't know enough about prenups. I'm not going to give you advice on that. You guys do what you want. All right. I'm going to leave it there, folks. Yes. So that Artie and I can play video games. Although, Taithluich says, have you heard about the blind man who sword fights at full speed? Good friend of mine, he does it with bells on the hilt so he knows where they're at. Oh, that's super cool. That's very cool. Yeah. I would like to know more about that. I'm gonna check it out. Blind man sword fighting. I was blinking in a sword fight.
So who would win in a sword?
Ah, it's the blind surfer guy. Yeah. All right, I'm gonna watch that later. Ask him about dinos. You got it. When are we gonna get a BattleBit collab with Artie? He plays it a lot. But this one I don't know if we're gonna be streaming it or not. I didn't have any plans to. But I would definitely love to. BattleBit's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. So I definitely would. But yeah. Brooke Riddick. No, that's ridiculous. Tetra Pak vodka? No, it's Beatbox. I think it's essentially just a wine. I don't really know what it is. Yes. Lisa, I don't know that I will. Anyway, folks, hey, thanks for being here. Thanks for participating in this. I had a lot of fun doing this. I would love to do this again. Keep talking, nobody explodes. Yes, also, it's more escape room shenanigans. We've got to do more of that. Yes. Yeah, anyway, all right. We'll do this again sometime. Is it really Griff Kai? That's nuts. You guys are nuts. You guys are insane. Thank you so much for everything you've done. You are all wonderful for your generosity, and I don't deserve it. I don't. But I appreciate that you appreciate what I do a lot. And hopefully someday I'll feel like I'm giving it back as much as you're giving it to me. But Andre, just as I'm signing out, good to have you here, though. It was a good one. It was a fun one. But I gotta get out of here. Y'all are wonderful. Can't wait to see you again soon. Possibly, I mean, heck, I might even stream tomorrow. Who knows? But can't make any promises. Until the next time, ladies and gentlemen, be good, stay safe.